Hi everyone, welcome back to another day in the life at art school. I'm really excited for today because we're starting a brand new painting, which is great because I've been working on the same painting for a couple weeks now and you guys are probably bored of it as well. So starting a new one today, and this is the back of the panel that we're going to be painting on. I also did a photo shoot with my sister, and so I have a bunch of new references because I had this sort of vision in my head. So I just went through all of them and just upped the contrast, upped the saturation, just editing them for the composition and colors that I want. Just going back and forth, picking all the ones that I think are the strongest and making them even stronger. And this is the final one that I decided to use. It's really pretty, I like it. And after gessoing the back of this masonite panel, this is the painting that we're going to be painting over. It might look a bit familiar because it's the same sort of painting that I used to make this one. I made two of similar painting, and so I'm painting over both of them. And just like the other one, there's a sort of buildup of paint from, the painting being layered on. So I'm going to grab some sandpaper and just sand that back nice and smooth, but I'm still going to leave some texture. And once that's nice and smooth, I'm going to head over back to my iPad and try and layer over the photo to a photo that I took of the painting, so I can sort of use the painting as a grid to grid out the sketch of the photo. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm going to try and explain how I do it here. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. It's going to be kind of trial and error. So I'm layering the photo over the canvas, and the main thing that I want to get right is the same scale, so getting the height and width to be the same ratio. And because I had the photograph over the canvas, I couldn't really see if I needed it to be wider or longer, so I put the photograph layer underneath the canvas layer, and then I was able to see the outline. Because I selected it, I was able to see the outline of the photo, and I could line it up and crop it so that it matches the canvas layer, so that my dimensions and height and width and everything are the same as the image. And then it becomes really easy then to paint on it because it's the same ratio. So I can tell the image needs to be skinnier, so then I go back into the original photo and just make it like skinnier. And I also wanted to offset the symmetry, so I just put it off to the side and then put in the new cropped one, so it's like refreshed in how I cropped it. And so I'll just do it again and again and adjust the ratio just so it matches up perfectly. And so eventually I got it to the right ratio, and so I put the photograph above the canvas image and just turn down the opacity, and so I can see both the canvas image and the photograph image. So now I know where to sketch in for the real canvas. And so I'll explain what I mean by that. So you can see in the image, I know exactly where to draw the hands, for example, underneath the real section. And so if it crosses over that part of the E, I'll cross over that part of the E on the real thing. And so it's kind of like a grid. I think it's called a doodle grid. You kind of look at the image and then look at the canvas and then look back at the image and look back at the canvas and then make your mark. So it's kind of a lot of back and forth, and it takes a long time just because you're just constantly double checking that you're putting it in the right spot. And so this actually took me like all the way up till lunch basically, but sped it up for you guys. No, just wait. You don't have to be. And now coming back from lunch, this is what it looks like. Now I had a critique last week. That rhymed. I had a critique last week, and I brought it up how I made the previous painting that I just sort of like flashed before. Here you go. And for this painting, like I said before, it was painted over an original painting that looked very similar to this. And I mentioned how I wish the original painting was coming through a bit more, because I will always have a white canvas to start off with, but I will never have a painting that looks like this underneath, just because I don't think I'll ever paint the painting that I'm currently painting over again. So you can see what I'm doing now. Contrary to the photo, I'm gonna have the background be a lot darker and just have these sort of emoji-like text sort of shine through very subtly in the dark background, so it kind of looks chaotic but also simple at the same time, because that was the main issue that I had with the previous painting that I keep talking about, was that with the stripes and everything, it just became so much that I eventually had to paint over the original painting, because the original painting is already so much. I also wanted this painting to have a slight texture. When I did the first layer, it kind of had this grain to the texture, kind of like newspaper, which I thought was really cool, because with all the text and everything, it made it look quite vintagey and worn, which I really like. And now just going into with the face, so far I've only used acrylic paint, and just a forewarning, don't click off. but this video won't show a very great end result. If you see my other videos, you know that I'm not very good at acrylic. It is just a base for my oils, and then with oils I will go and render it out, but the first layer of acrylics is very sloppy. I mean, you can like see it's not very good, and that's kind of all that I can do today because I want a full day for it to dry. Then I can go in tomorrow and render out the whole thing in oils. So I do apologize, this isn't like the best end result of a video, but I am looking up to this painting. I do think that I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be good. And so come back, please. It's not gonna end like this, I promise. As you can see here, I'm grabbing a paper towel to sort of press in the slightly wet paint in the background because it's paper towel and I kind of want it to look like newspaper. I'll kind of like stamp on the texture and get rid of the brush strokes. I don't really want any brush strokes to be seen because I want the background to look purposeful, and I feel like the brush strokes would look like that I'm painting over an old painting, which is what I'm doing. I just wanted to make it look like the background was there the whole time. Another issue that I want to avoid was that I didn't want her to look like that she was just floating in this black space. I wanted to give her some sort of setting and some ground just so I can place her on something and therefore the viewer can then place themselves. So I'm adding the skirting board just very subtly, and I think I will later on do another wash just over it. It's because I don't want the setting to overpower the already chaotic background. I mean, it's just a personal preference, but this is what it looked like before I put the skirting in, and I just think it just looks a little bit cut paste. I sort of like selected around her figure and just put it in a dark void. I just want there to be a little bit more context. And there we go, it is done with its first layer. I'm sorry that this vlog doesn't have the most amazing, spectacular ending, but I'm really excited about this painting. It's quite different to what I normally do, so I'm curious where it takes me. I think it's got a great foundation for next week's vlog, which is where I'm gonna be using oils and rendering it all out, so I hope to see you guys there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye!